This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Today, we take a look at agriculture on Today in the News, as activists within and outside Nigeria have criticized the federal government's decision to approve the commercial release of 4 Tela Maize varieties for commercial planting in the country. Critics of this move claim that there is no evidence that the genetically modified crops underwent any risk assessment tests before its approval for Nigerian farmers. Joining us for this conversation this morning is Sadiq Kasim, the president of the Fertilizers Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria. Mr. Kasim, good morning and thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Can you give us a sense of just how important genetically modified crops are to farmers and the idea of tackling food insecurity?
Okay. Steve, what we need to look at is maybe against those who are being alarmist. This is actually an evolution. An evolution because, yes, we need to be food secure. And science is not a lie. There is an emergent, maybe an emergency, definitely, on the need to stop certain pests in destroying our crops. Scientists have now modified the genetic composition of these crops such that they become unattractive for these pests. And that is what GMO is all about. I'm not going to dwell on the issue of whether the processes of how this new variety has been released, because there are regulators, there are scientific bodies in the country, and we should trust that our scientists are not incompetent. They must have taken time, they have gone through all these processes. The National Biotechnology Agency definitely is a child of law that has been created, and they have that mandate. Always do their job very well. And if I recall also very clearly, what has always happened is they have a body of scientists that usually sit in conference, evaluate all these things, and take a position. Yes, probably some people might say, how much time has been spent in doing this evaluation? And I remember reading somewhere some of the alarmists who are against this keep mentioning that, the impact of eating GMO foods leads to certain diseases and so on and so. I agree this is something that should be looked at in depth. But then the West and the scientifically advanced countries have been using GMO seeds for so many years. And we've not had such findings where somebody's disease has been attributed to eating genetically modified organisms or genetically modified foods.
Right.
So why don't we just go ahead? We will get to that evolutionary stage where, for instance, you look at them also, those science advanced countries. Today, the vogue is going natural. So everybody says, let's take organic. I mean, it's those who can afford it, who can do it, because growing organic has become a boutique kind of crop where the system of growing it, the volume of bringing it out is such a very tiny quantity that the price is for those who can afford only. Today, what we're looking for is food that is cheap.
Right.
Now, then, coming back to the issue, I agree farmers in Nigeria may try to calculate what will be the cost benefit. A genetically modified seed is not going to come cheap. It's not something that when you grow and you harvest, you take a small portion of it to keep for the next cropping season. You have to buy it all the time because it's governed by some intellectual property rights. It has some proprietary issues. So every year you have to buy new seeds, grow for the season.
Following planting season.
Which would
Mr. Kasim, I do apologize for interrupting you, but you do raise a point here that has been echoed by critics of this particular of the GMOs, and that is the impact that it has on traditional farming methods. Now, if farmers have to buy the seeds every single planting season, and these are farmers who, as we have talked about on previous conversations, lots of the farming in Nigeria is by small scale farmers who don't have the finances or indeed the machinery to plant large farms. Isn't this a downside to switching to GMOs?
No, it's not about how big the farm is. It's about the farming practice, Steve. The issue is, let us do a proper cost benefit. If the cost of the seed is high and the return at the end of the day at harvest is equally high and can pay for that seed, then farmers should go for it. It's a simple, rational decision. But yes, if farmers want to remain low producers, low output things, then maybe we would remain what we are. But definitely, there is a need for this cost benefit. And there is a need for extension services that would be done on farmers to explain to them all these things. Again, when you talk about disrupting the traditional practices, some of the fears personally I have would be the fact that, well, who owns this right to this seed? Probably not a Nigerian company or not a Nigerian for that matter. Now, what happens to our own gene pool, traditional gene pool? Do we allow it to die, to disappear? No, we shouldn't. So this is also a call for our scientists to wake up and continue doing research to improve our own seeds and also to preserve the gene pool so that they don't all disappear and then one day we wake up and we don't have anything of our own again.
Right. So, Mr. Kasim, in concluding this, you've talked about how these seeds are expensive, not just because of the price, being that they are genetically modified, but also the situation where the seeds have to be bought at every planting season. They can't be kept over till the next planting season, as we normally do in our traditional farming practices here. Is there anything that you think the government can do to, one, educate farmers on why this is the next step forward, and indeed assist farmers in planting these crops so that we can continue to tackle food insufficiency in the country?
Yes, Steve, I said those people who have who matter in this issue must wake up. We have regulatory organizations. The NBMA is there. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture is there. They have the Farm Input Support Services Department, which also have a legal mandate. There is the National Agricultural Seeds Council, which also handles issues of varietal release. So all these agencies are there. And believe me, if we wake up, it's only going to be a short period. once we achieve that right threshold of production, then people can just go ahead. And yes, we've had a few periods of infestation of armyworms and other pests that have destroyed a substantial part of the maize crop in particular. That has also raised the issue of pesticide usage. Sometimes we need to also, like I said, balance these dangers. Do we want to take in pesticides that are resident, or what we have pesticide residues in the crops because of high usage of pesticides to destroy the worms? Or we want to take on something that has this resistance to these pests and grown. So which one is more dangerous? We need to also look at that, and farmers need to be really educated about it and let them take an economic, rational decision.
Mr. Kasim, thank you very much for speaking with us on this conversation. Our guest, Sadiq Kasim, is the president of the Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria, and he joined us to speak on the criticisms that the federal government is receiving following its approval of the commercial release of 4 Tela Maize varieties for commercial planting in the country.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.